All right, B. The time is near. Assassin's Creed Valhalla. You ready for
Yes,
it?
it's November 7th. We got about 3 more days before the Xbox Series X and Series S come out.
Yep.
5 days for the PS5, which means, like you said, Assassin's Creed Valhalla will be launching in the very near future. Um, this is the third installment in their kind of reimagining of the series. This one's going to be set in 873 and a little bit in Norway, but mainly in England. Your main character is going to be Ivor.
Yeah.
And the premise of the game is kind of, sort of along the lines of basically any Viking story that you hear, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're in Norway, there aren't enough resources. There's, people are fighting all the time. You kind of don't have a place there. So you and your crew hop in your boat, sail west to England, looking to settle, right? There's going to be 4 kingdoms that you interact with: Northumbria, East Anglia, Mercia, and Wessex. So yeah, you're going to have your own settlement in England where you kind of upgrade the buildings, and it's kind of the story hub. It's where you get all your story missions. You build barracks, you can build a tattoo parlor, blacksmith to get better weapons, things like that. So it plays a kind of a big role in the actual gameplay. As far as the story, again, it's 873, which means it's a little less than 10 years after the Great Heathen Army invades England.
Right.
And if you don't know what that was, that is the sons of Ragnar Lothbrok invading England allegedly to avenge their father's death.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They're a part of the game, and that's kind of their driving force. It's worth noting that nobody really knows if that's actually true. I mean, the army did invade England. They took over 3 out of the 4 kingdoms. Wessex was the only one that was able to actually resist the Vikings. But nobody really knows if Ragnar went west and was thrown into a pit of poisonous snakes, like the legend says.
Yeah, or the TV show, which I'm a fan of.
Yeah, listen. There are some historians that think Ragnar wasn't real, that he's kind of like an amalgamation of a bunch of different Viking heroes. There's some that say he was real, but just kind of didn't do the things that the popular stories say he did.
Sure.
There's some that even think Ragnar was a woman and had all those sons. But I like the show Vikings, so I'm gonna go with that.
Yeah, me too. And that's the only reason I know who Ragnar is. So that's the history I know.
Yeah. So in this game again, his sons, I'm not sure exactly which one. I believe it's Ivar the Boneless, Ube, and I think Halfdan are the ones that are in Assassin's Creed. Not 100% sure on that.
No Bjorn?
Yeah, I don't know. There could also be Bjorn Ironside, or Sigurd the Snake Eye, or Snake and Eye.
Yeah.
Not 100% sure which sons are going to be in the game. Part of the story of the heathen army is also Guthrum, who was, I guess, just another Viking leader. But as part of their treaty with Wessex, he was baptized, and he became the king of, I believe it was East Anglia, and he ruled under his Christian name Athelstan, which you probably recognize from Vikings also.
Sure.
So they
That's Ragnar's friend. So how could this be?
Took a few liberties with that one. So again, here you're in England. You're going to be forging alliances with different with different factions throughout the story mode. There's going to be raids, Viking raids, also big epic battles like they kind of introduced in Odyssey.
Mm-hmm.
They said they want to make the combat very visceral because it's a Viking story. So there's throwing axes, there's decapitations,
sure.
All kinds of stuff. You can dual wield pretty much any weapons in the game. So yeah, I mean it looks very much like the kind of a continuation of the last 2, Origins and Odyssey. It's actually being developed by the studio that did Origins. So they've been working on this for about 2.5 years now. The creative director on this one was the creative director on Origins and Black Flag. So that's why you see a lot of the sailing coming back, and the sea shanties and all that.
Yeah.
Um,
You saw some of that in Odyssey too.
a little bit, a little
Yeah.
bit. Not as much though.
No. No.
Um, but yeah, that Black Flag is really where the series kind of started to break from its roots a little bit.
Yeah.
Black Flag, you were sailing around the Caribbean more than anything else,
Yeah.
right? And you're going to different islands and kind of raiding forts and things like that. Prior to that, if you're not familiar with the series, prior to that, it was always focused in really densely populated cities. Um, you're in London, you're in Paris, Rome, Jerusalem, Mecca, and it was really focused on kind of free running,
Right.
parkour, and stealth. You had to hide and sneak up on your targets to get assassinations and then run away.
Right.
The new games are very much just you go in there and you take people down however you feel like.
Yeah.
Uh, much less focus on stealth. The hidden blade, you can stab somebody straight in the neck and it won't kill them sometimes.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's very much an action RPG now. But you upgrade your weapons and armor, and you have a skill tree and all that, which wasn't the way that Assassin's Creed used to be. It was a very linear story. You would get upgrades at specific points in the story. There was no leveling or anything like that. But now it's all about these enormous open worlds, right? And they want you to go around and really explore. And to that end, they have things around the world that you can just find. So in Valhalla, some of those things they have the black shuck, which is just it's kind of a common myth in England.
Mm.
This one is specifically a big shaggy black dog who is
Mm.
supposed to be the devil himself, right?
Oh.
So he's kind of just hanging out in the world, and you just kind of stumble into him. They also have the Ragnar's Dragnir, I believe is how it's pronounced, but it's they say 6 warriors that fought with Ragnar, and when he was killed, they kind of became disillusioned, right? And they're just wandering.
Was Floki one of them?
No, I don't believe so. No.
There's a lot of
you can't just
inaccuracies in this
straight
game. I
up
can
you
see
can't
already.
just straight
I'm
up
telling you.
lift it. You can't lift the entire series. Okay. But yeah, they're just kind of wandering around. They say, some will be in Norway, most will be in England, and you run into them and they'll tell you the story of Ragnar, right, or at least a part of it, and then they want you to kill them, because they want to die in battle so they can go to Valhalla,
yeah.
and be with Ragnar again.
Right.
So yeah, there's a lot of side missions like that, and it's really, like I said, just a continuation of what they've been doing in Origins and Odyssey. So if you're a fan of those, and the way they have the world set up, chances are you're really going to like Valhalla.
Yeah. Yeah. No, they, as always, put a lot of thought into these games, and the stories are always rich. And Origins is my favorite Assassin's Creed. So to hear that it's the same team that made Origins making this one, it's a good sign for me. So.
Yeah, absolutely. The only real negative thing about it for me is that they confirmed that you will be playing the modern day portion of the story again, with the same character again, Layla Hassan.
Yeah. I'll say this.
Man.
When I played Odyssey, she, like, that part of the story, I think they did a better job tying it together than previously. Like I told you before, at the end, spoiler alert for anybody who hasn't finished Odyssey, your character shows up in the future, right? And they kind of do a better job just tying the storyline together with that. It always felt like a completely separate game up until that point, and it still does to a certain extent. But like I said, what she does in the future is a little bit more relevant to what's going on in the past. So, we'll see what they do moving forward. And also, it seemed like there was less of her in the game than in previous games.
Yeah, in early installments with Desmond, it was a major part of the story.
Yeah.
And I feel like they kind of, once they tied up the Desmond story, they kind of wanted to take a step back from that whole thing. But, it was a part of the series DNA, basically. And so they're just kind of, I think they're in this weird space where they're not really 100% committed to it, but they don't want to get rid of it because then what's it about, right?
Yeah.
Because already, I mean, it's Assassin's Creed. Your characters aren't assassins.
No.
Yeah, this one is much like Black Flag, where your character doesn't even join that group. throughout the course of the game. You know,
Right.
in Black Flag, your character became an assassin later on in life, but that was basically after the game.
Yeah, that's the after credits, the
Yeah,
end credits.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's Assassin's Creed in name only at this point. You know, it's a big brand, so I understand you're not going to change it, but it really does seem like they just, you know, they're sitting around their boardroom table and just deciding what historical period would be interesting to explore, and we're going to make a game there. And oh, I guess there's ancient ones or hidden ones here too. You know,
Okay.
so this is a completely single player game, right? It's a single player experience, but they do have some online elements. You can create custom kind of mercenary Vikings, right?
Okay.
Custom Viking raiders, and you upload them, and other people can download them and use them in their raiding parties.
Oh,
And I
nice.
guess you get kind of, you know, rewards if people download your character and use them in raids. So you know, that's kind of fun because, you know, the characters are pretty customizable. You can put tattoos wherever. You customize the beard if you use the male version, because Ivor you can be either male or female. Um, so you have that. They much like their other games. Again, they have a season pass. There are going to be 2 expansions coming. In spring 2021 is the Wrath of the Druids, where you're going to be exploring Ireland, and then later in the summer is the Battle of Paris.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, it seems like they're also going to be updating the game seasonally. They mentioned already, like for December, you know, they're
Yeah.
going to have a Yule festival and you know,
Okay.
and river raiding and stuff like that. So it sounds like there's going to be a lot of content coming for it. You know, pretty steady stream of content. And again, it looks like more of the same from Assassin's Creed. But if you are a fan of the last couple games, it should be right up your alley.
Yeah, it's more the same, but it's more of what you want.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Hopefully they've cut down on some of the bloat that was in the last couple games. But you know, we'll
yeah,
see.
yeah, because I loved Assassin's Creed Odyssey, but man, it was a marathon getting through
Yeah,
that game. And
absolutely.
I played just about all of it. You know, I grinded it out, but man, I noticed it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
No, good news. Yeah, and once the game comes out, we're gonna give you our review of the game, but I'm pretty confident in saying right now it's probably gonna be worth the money.
Yeah.